sis.
Hey, sis.
Hey, Sister Circle.
I'm your big sis, April.
And I'm your little sis, Tiffany. And we are Sister Talk Network Podcast.
Sisters bridging the generational gap while encouraging candid conversations
and healing amongst women, friends, and sisters. You have a sister now.
All right, you ready?
Here we go.
Here we go.
Hey,
Sis.
Hey, sis. Hey, Sister Circle.
Welcome back. I am your big sis, April.
And I'm your little sis, Tiffany.
And we are Sister Talk Network Podcast.
We back.
Thank you for joining us again.
Yes.
So, let me get one of our cards first. I was getting ready to jump right in.
Like, let's go.
But no, let's get one of our cards. We're going to find a card to uplift and inspire. I'm going to pull something from the center. And let's see what we got.
Oh, we look like a sunset today.
Oh, yeah, look. No, I'm the sunrise. You the sunset.
Sunrise and sunset.
You know I love sunrises and sunsets.
Yes.
Oh, this is appropriate. And it just says simply, I am loved. And you are loved. I am loved. Sister Circle, you are loved. We are first loved by God. And then our goal in healing, evolving, and growing is to get to a place of complete self-love for ourselves.
Yes. Can we give it up for Big Sis for the curls popping today?
She embracing the natural things today, child. Listen.
Curls
and you know what?
popping.
Like I said, I was telling you earlier, I stood in the mirror this morning and I just smiled because it's like me even a year ago would have never done this, but to God be the glory for freedom and healing in such a way that I am embracing all of this. And I remember when I started my journey with my hair, which was now almost a year and a half ago because it was April of 2021. And the first day I went to the hairdresser and I was like, oh my God. And I remember you saying, I was praying over you and God told me that he was going to restore your crown. And not only has he done that in the natural, because look at my hair. I ain't had no hair a year ago, y'all, and didn't have these natural curls, but he's doing it spiritually as well. And child, I am so excited. But last week,
we could never.
Child, yeah, she over it. She over that. You might see some added hair with some braids.
It's cold. I'm gonna put my wig on. I can't do it.
I bought some hats.
I do it when it get hot outside.
Yeah, no, I bought some hats. I was talking to my girlfriend yesterday because she had on a cute little hat. And I said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy me some cute little hats that I can wear with my outfits when I don't feel like doing my hair. And then get the braids and stuff back. So, but
I had the braids for one. I had the braids and that wind hit. I was like,
you said, oh no, I need something else. But you know what? It's okay. Yeah. The thing is, it's okay because you didn't have this issue that I did. You wore your own natural hair. So as long as you're willing to embrace it, wear your wig, wear your weaves, do whatever, just to not be totally against it like I was.
Yeah, and I went through a whole season. Remember the scarf era?
Yeah, she embraced it all. I remember you even bought me some scarves.
Yeah, what color you want?
Like just wear your scarves. And I'm going to have to pull them out because I might need to wear some of them now. But last week, I was in the hot seat.
Yes.
I was in the hot seat, but after doing it and realizing how freeing it was, how empowering it was, I'm like, okay, we need to do this for you too, because I think it's important, as I mentioned, for our sisters to really understand us. And this allows them to understand us. Yeah. So we're going to jump right in, little sis.
Oh, God. Here we go.
She ready?
Here we go. Let me take a sip.
Oh, you taking a sip. Okay. So my first question is, when were you first aware of your spiritual gifts? And what advice would you give someone who is struggling to embrace their calling?
That's a hard one. So my spiritual gifts, I feel like they were certain ones stood out more than other ones. Because we had the running joke of like the whole Sixth Sense thing, like certain stuff. I could see like the Sixth Sense movie, and then so I knew that wasn't normal.
Yeah.
Or like certain dreams, when my dreams and visions started happening, and that took a while.
Okay.
for me to realize, like, oh crap, this person really is no longer here. But I might have seen it 6 months to a year later, and like trying to figure out how to, or if to communicate that,
to tell it.
Yeah, so I feel as though that was like my first instance of, okay, this is not normal.
So you were young, okay, and the example you just gave is an example of having a dream or a premonition that someone was going to pass or transition or die, and then them die, like it come into reality maybe 6 months later, and you wondering, should I tell anybody this or should I just keep it to myself?
The first instance that happened, I did keep it to myself. Like, I kept it to myself until me and you started talking.
Wow.
Because it's one of our family members that was close to us. It's like, they're going to look at me like I'm crazy. And it's like, who wants to give that type of news of, I see this at like 7, 8 years old.
Okay,
like,
so you were really young.
Yeah, like, how do I even talk about this? Or... I think mom kind of knew, because there were certain people I just didn't mess with, and she would laugh, but she was like, "You just really didn't like that person," not knowing that person had some stuff on them.
Yeah,
but I could see it. Like, stay, don't touch me. And I literally was just like, They were like, "You gonna give him a hug?" No. And that's why I don't force my oldest to give anybody a hug, because no, you ain't got to.
Yeah, that's so important. To respect that boundaries with kids, because you don't know. Like, are they just having a bad day, or are they seeing something that we're not necessarily seeing? Because,
and I feel like they see more stuff than we see.
That innocence, for real.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to someone that may have that type of gift of seeing, that's having a hard time or struggling with it, you like embracing it? Because that's hard. That's a hard one.
I would say... first, be led to tell that person.
Okay.
Like, rather something, like how we always talk about, rather it's something that God wants you to just pray over, or rather it's something that you could possibly change.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if I say something, does this do anything, or does it help? If it doesn't help, then I don't say nothing.
And just don't do it. Okay.
The other thing that I would say is, like, one of the mistakes that I did was I prayed for God to take it
away from you.
Yeah, I didn't want.
Okay, it's hard.
I didn't want those gifts. Like, there's a certain amount of torment that comes with that, because now the enemy knows.
Yeah.
Also, what you have and what gifts are how strong those gifts can get if you keep going down that path. So I would say to never, like, if you can, find somebody else, if you can, that has those type of gifts or understands those gifts.
Or pray that God will lead you to somebody that,
and pray for that instead of praying for you not to have them.
Yeah, not to take them away. Yeah, that's hard. And I just want to circle back to what you said about us talking about what to do with it, because, and my pastor has talked about this also, where our first response is, "Oh, I gotta run and tell him what God said."
Boy, because she has. The few times I met her, and she pulled me aside, I'm like, "Oh boy, yeah, you got this. You got some of the same things I got."
Yeah,
because I was like, "Oh my God!"
But she saw it in you, and learning, and it took her time also to learn that, to ask God, "What do you want me to do with this?" And sometimes it was just pray about it. But our first response usually is to just, go run tell that. But that's not always what he wants. So that's good. That's good. And hopefully that will inspire somebody that may have the same calling to know how to act, or how to finagle it, and, like, navigate it, because that's hard. Okay. When you think about your childhood and how it impacted your life as an adult, what things are you doing differently with your children?
I think the one thing that I changed something that's like deep rooted. My parenting style automatically, because it's inherited, matches the styling of our parents. So I had to take a step back and find out, why am I reacting this way? Like a lot of times, like sometimes I do need to get with my kids.
Yeah.
And other times it's, okay, it's me, because I know the damage that was done in certain in situations. I try to, and I'm not always perfect, and sometimes after telling them 5 times, it's me talking through my teeth, like
right.
yeah, fix the lip. But I really try to meet them where they are.
Okay.
When I'm having a tough conversation with them, I like to look them eye to eye and try to figure out what's going on with them and try to learn them as people and build that relationship with them, and not just I'm the parent.
Yeah.
Which is what I had, was the whole era of kids are supposed to be seen and not heard, where I don't believe in that. And I know what it caused in self-confidence as an adult. So I don't ever want my kids to feel like that. So I think that would be the number one thing. And then learning, like, so for instance, my son, he's very emotional. Like, he will be fine with everybody else, but then as soon as he sees me, I get the other end. And this is like, this is a lot to deal with, but I realize he's holding it in that whole entire time. And they talk about moms being that safe place. So for 10, 15 minutes, he gets cuddle time when he comes home.
Yeah.
He's the first one, because he's the first one that needs it, because he's been an angel all day long. And I realized, like, how much that's transitioned our time from school to home. Yeah. My daughter is like me. She just wants to talk my ears off
about everything.
Yeah. So I started asking her questions instead of asking her questions about was she good in school. I asked her, like, what was your favorite part about today?
Okay.
What happened? How was your friends? And then memorizing her friends' names. Like, how did so and so do today? Or did you and this person get into a fight? Because there's always that one little girl that got the same personality.
Challenge. Yeah.
And they get into a fight. So I think just understanding them and not treating them so much as children, as in the sense of they are beneath us because they're little.
Yeah. That is so good. That's so good. Like, I'm thinking about everything you said, and honoring them as humans, because they're human first. You know, like, I think just in the era that I grew up in, you grew up in, and don't get me wrong, like, I know it was, I don't think it's ever intentional to make kids feel less than, but it's just, I'm the authoritarian. This is the way it is, and that's it. But like, even with your son, when I think about it, like how men are always taught you have to be strong. You can't be soft. You can't put on that soft space. And then how it affects them when they grow up, like in their relationships and their marriages. So creating that foundation of, you don't always need to be that. Like, you need to be seen and heard and understood, just like women do and other people do, is going to be such a huge thing for him to take into adulthood.
I have a really hard time when somebody tell my son, "Oh, you need to stop all that crying."
Yeah.
Like, I have literally
need to be quiet.
Yeah. Like, what did you just say? Yeah. Oh, you need to fix that, because maybe you need to cry. Maybe that's the reason why you acting like a behind.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I know you balance it, because you do offer him that tough love when he needs it. Yeah. And, you know, when he needs to be tougher, you give him that, but he needs to know he has that soft space. Yeah. So first, honoring them as humans and getting to know them as individuals, because you can't impose the same behavioral tactics on each one, because they're all different.
Yeah, because if I fuss at my son, that's all I gotta do.
Yeah.
My daughter look at me like, Ann?
Yeah.
Like, we almost got throw hands. Because you, like, what did you just do? She'll roll her eyes, slam that door, and be like, you ain't talking to me.
Yeah, I know you're not
Meanwhile,
talking to me.
my son is like,
I'm like, okay. Yeah. That's how you and I were as well. Like, Mom talks about that with me. I was the same way. All you gotta do is raise your voice at me, and my feelings are hurt. But you the tough one. You were the tough one.
You got to come better than that.
Yeah, that's all you got.
I used to remember getting in trouble and be like, I'm gonna take the beating for this one, because it's worth it.
Because I'm going to do this anyway. I'm going to say this anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to this school dance and I'm going to wear this and I'm going to change my clothes in the bathroom.
Oh my gosh, y'all. And I was scared. She ain't scared of nothing. The defiant one. All right, so the next is kind of just like a piggyback question, and you've kind of answered a little bit of it, but I just wanted you to expand more in saying what advice you will offer to new moms. And excuse me, y'all, for my cough.
For new moms, first of all, after you have that baby, our bodies go through so many changes. You remember my body after I had my first one?
I forgot.
I was 215 pounds after she came out. And then like the liquid went to my legs, everything swelled up. Fluid. My tummy was like jello and jiggly. And I had this misconception off of social media that, I'm just going to snap back. And it took me a long time. I will say if you can nurse, to do that because it does help.
Okay.
I would tell any mom to get that belly band that I swear by and wrap your stomach up, but to just give yourself grace.
Yeah.
Allow your body to heal. Don't push your body to the ultimate limit because you could wind up causing yourself more damage. Like I remember after her, I wound up back at the doctor's office before my 6-week checkup because I started bleeding crazy.
From doing too much?
Yeah. I had her in the stroller and was walking and doing 1 mile or 2 mile walks because I was just like, I'm getting my body back by any means necessary. It should never be by any means necessary.
Right.
And I think as far as like raising kids, that I always tell all my moms and all my friends that regardless of what you're lacking in, because we all lack somewhere in being a mom, that you are exactly what your child needs. At every single situation, regardless of whether it's a lack or it's not. There's stuff that I'm going to make mistakes on that God is going to use that to pivot them to wherever he wants them to be. And pray over them. Pray over them. If you're not strong in prayer, installing them words of affirmation. Like just speaking kind words over your child from day one. From the tummy, and so just surrounding them with that
love.
Yes,
that's good. Okay, what was the pivotal point that brought you to a place of complete surrender to God?
I honestly think I kept running. Like, if I'm being honest, like I kept running. I think all my pivotal points had to do with me almost dying. Like, wow. I remember, like, the first instance, because, again, like, I was just keeping it cute. Like, oh, yeah, I'm going to go to church every Sunday. I'm going to do this. And I was getting to a point where I had a really bad car accident. And I slid on ice on 55, and gospel music was playing. And I remember just like the car just spinning out of control. I remember looking at the rail on 55 and I remember watching it bending. Like I thought I was going to go over. I thought I was going to be dead. Like I could literally see houses on the other end of the rail. Cause like I was like, it wasn't like no flat road. It was a hill. Yeah. So I was like, if I go over, like that was it. I remember when my car finally stopped. I remember what I said to God when my car kept hitting the rail, and I was like, this is it. And I was at complete peace. Like, there's no other moment in my life where I can just like peace that passes all understanding. Yeah, he gave it to because you. I was literally at complete peace. I remember when my car stopped, and I could still remember that man's face pulling me out of my car because my engine was daggone near on the ground. Wow. And just being like, and me and all my foolishness was worried about my cell phone. That slid to the back seat so I could make a phone call. And he would not let me get back in the car. And he went back in the car and got my cell phone. And I remember calling Mom. And then I remember calling me and my husband, we were dating at that time. I didn't realize how bad it was until the EMTs had got there, and they were shocked that there wasn't a broken bone. I had no scratches. I didn't want to go in the ambulance, but the guy told me, he was like, you need to go get checked out. Yeah. Like, you're not even supposed
internal stuff.
Yeah, right. Like, you're not even supposed to be here. Like, do you see your car? And I'm looking at my car, and it looked like somebody, like a compact, had like literally smushed it. And I remember that was like one of the only times where Warren was about to cry. And I was looking at him like, still not even completely understanding. But like at that point, it was me and God. We like, how to be like, we was locked in. Yeah. We were locked in. That time, I think I kind of strayed away. And then that time I had COVID. Mm-hmm. I caught COVID.
I think that was it.
Yeah. I caught COVID so bad to where, again, not really understanding how bad it was. Mm-hmm. Didn't even know for like the first 4 days that I had COVID. I remember calling you. I was laying on my kid's bathroom floor, giving him a bath, and I was struggling, and I was still trying to push through. Mm-hmm. And then when I finally got the test back that I had COVID, still trying to push through, barely eating. You was over here. I was incoherent at that point. I remember you bringing me some crackers and fussing at me.
Like, eat these crackers. Eat these crackers.
That's the only thing I remember. And then I remember getting to a point where I was trying to walk downstairs and I passed out. And still, in all my craziness, drove my behind to the hospital.
I remember that. And I'm like, please stay with me on the phone. Why would you do that?
Drove myself. Matter of fact, I didn't even go to the hospital because I hate hospitals. I drove myself to urgent care because I didn't want to go to the hospital. And they said that my blood pressure, they was like, he was just dumbfounded because my blood pressure was dropping every time I stood up to the point of like almost passing out. Mm-hmm. Still, from urgent care, drove myself to the hospital. Got to the hospital, and they were admitting me. And then it wound up being, not only do you have COVID, you have pneumonia in one of your lungs, you have a whole bunch of fluid in one of your lungs, and you have, both of your kidneys are infected. And I'm looking at them like...
And she's still in full mom mode, y'all.
Yeah, I'm still pumping milk at the hospital because they were telling me that the antibodies were going to be good for the baby. So I'm like, still, like, get me a pump machine. Yeah. I'm still in here pumping and like, okay, well, somebody got to come pick up this milk. I'm leaving it, and they Lysoling it down for like the first 3 days. I didn't see anybody. Yeah, they were in hazmat suits and bringing me stuff, but I remember being tormented where the enemy was asking me for permission to give up. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, if you need permission, that means I'm not done. Right. And you can't just come in here and do what you want. Yeah.
No, you may as well just give up.
Yeah, I was like, no. Mm-hmm. Nor am I ever. Yeah. With 3 babies waiting for me at home. Mm-hmm. No, I'm not giving up.
Yeah. I really do think that was your pivotal moment, the defining pivotal moment. And I just wanted to see if you were going to say that. But it's just a reminder that he has no power and authority. Mm-hmm. You know, so that was his last attempt. Mm-hmm. Now he is defeated. He is done.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay. When you think about your healing journey, where do you see yourself a year from now?
A year from now, I see myself going back and getting everybody else that the enemy said that he was going to take. Mm-hmm. I feel like we all have the last say so. Mm-hmm. And I feel like in our darkest moments, like how I was, we don't necessarily feel like we have to say so. Mm-hmm. And for that reason is one of my only, besides my kids, like that's one of the only reasons why I fight. Yeah. Because I want to go back.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And like we talk about, this is why we do what we do. And God is just showing more and more who those people are that we're assigned to, that we need to go back and get. And, groups of women, young women, that we can offer them not even so much advice, just letting them know that they are worthy, and friends. There are friends that are in our circle. And I know when we both began this journey, we told God, okay, anybody that's not supposed to come along, I need you to remove them. And just speaking for myself, there are some connections that I expected him to just remove that he didn't, and I didn't really understand why. Because it's like, okay, we have a good time, but there's really no depth to it. But now in seeing the why, and there was a need that was going to come along later, where now that I'm stronger in him, I can go back and get this person who is now in this sunken place where I just didn't understand. And I didn't understand, not understanding what he's going to do in them and wants to do in bringing them, up higher in him, and learning and growing in him and moving in purpose. So that's good. That's true. And I don't know what it looks like for you a year from now, but I do remember when we started, God saying clearly that he wanted to use it all. And I am in awe of what he's done in just this short amount of time, because we just started in January. And like you've talked about, first your language, how that's completely changed. Your first reaction is not now a reaction of anger. You take a moment to think, just wanting the best for yourself and for others. Where you even said yourself, like, you weren't always the best friend, and like it was more so about you. But seeing that change, so just the healing that you've done so far, I am so proud of it. And I know what you're saying for a year, but I think it's going to be so much bigger than that. I think his plan is going to exceed what you have in mind. And that's what God does.
Yeah.
That's what he always does. So I got one more for you, and this is a doozy. Okay. What's been the hardest thing that you've encountered on the healing journey? Biggest thing the enemy has tormented you with? And where are you with that thing? Have you overcome? What's your status? Where are you?
The biggest thing that the enemy torments me with is me doing what God told me to do, even if somebody else don't understand it.
Okay.
And I've always wanted to be understood. So a lot of times I look to certain people in order for them to understand like what I'm doing, or for them to see the same things that I see with what God is doing. And he might not have given them the same vision, or even given them a piece of it.
Right.
And I keep being reminded about like how like the craziest story to me, even though a lot of those stories in the Bible is crazy, but the one that always sticks out is Noah and the ark. Because it's one that everybody know, everybody should know.
Common story.
Yeah, so it's like I feel like that.
Okay.
Because I'm sitting here telling people, like, for instance, how we talk about at certain situations how the gates are heaven are open, and certain stuff is tangible where it wasn't tangible before, and certain prayer and fasting and certain stuff that needs to be done. And to tell somebody that it's about to rain and they've never seen it, like, okay, you're depressed right now, you're on antidepressants, and you're addicted to at least 3 different drugs, but there's healing on the other side of that. You're telling somebody it's about to rain and they've never seen it before, and just feeling like Noah's Ark, like building it anyway, building a platform anyway, building the tools and going through those tools, because I can't even imagine like the torment of what he went through building this, and they're looking at him like he's crazy.
Yeah.
And then having to build it off of a blueprint that God gave him, and not even understanding how it's going to work because you've never seen it work before.
It's uncharted territory.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So that's kind of like how I feel right now. Like that's my biggest thing that the enemy tries to torment me with. And just I battle with it daily.
Yeah.
Like I battle with it daily. I still push through because the one thing I keep telling myself is I'm more afraid of not doing it versus me trying and failing.
Yeah.
Because God holds, I remember, and I was so mad when I got this revelation of, because I thought that if I never did what God was asking me to do, that you can't hold me accountable of anything because I never started. And he was like, no, I'm holding you accountable based off of what I build you for and whether you complete it or not. And I remember, I love IKEA. So I used to we used to go there. We was there like every Sunday. That was our thing. After church, we was going to IKEA.
Oh my goodness.
So like how frustrating it was when you built something or you purchased something and it didn't come with all the pieces that you needed, and how frustrating that is, and how frustrated God was with me because he was like, I built you to do this. And because you don't have certain pieces, you won't ask me for them. So I just want everybody to be encouraged that even if you don't have all the pieces, even if you don't have all the understanding, to start asking for them. Start saying, okay, well, I'm going to start with what I have. I have a voice, so I'm going to use it. And start using what the enemy torments you with. Enemy tormented me with my speech for a long time. So it's like, okay, start using that. That's what he's tormenting you with. Whatever the enemy is after, that's what God wants to use.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't tormented for any other reason, not unless there was some value there.
That was your gift. Yeah. That was your gift always, your voice. That's good. That's really good, because when I think about all of that, what you said, it reminds me of a time in my life where if somebody would have come to me to say, like you just said, oh, there was healing on the other side of that depression, I wouldn't have even received it because I wasn't in a place to receive it. But being willing to say it and be led by God to do and say what he tells you to do anyway is a challenge, but we have to do it, because even if it's one out of, say, 100 people that you say something to, like the Bible says, and I don't know how many it is, but he left the thousands to come for that one. So when he's using you as that voice to reach that one, you have to do it. There's no choice around it. And when I think about my healing journey too, it began because of a word that he gave to somebody else from me. What if they didn't tell me?
Right.
Where would I be?
It would have fell on
probably
deaf
did.
ears.
I probably wouldn't have even been here today.
I remember that is one of my favorite ones. TD Jakes, he came to Bethany. And when I tell you, I came down like we was at the Usher concert.
Oh, that's funny.
I was ready. I woke up at like 4:00 in the morning. I got dressed and I was at church before Bishop was there. He was like, yes, I'm going to be, I was third row from the front.
Yeah.
And that's only because I couldn't get no closer.
Yeah.
And his message was on Didymus. And he talked about one of us is in trouble. And Didymus means twin.
Okay.
And he talked about how that how God goes back in order to get the other one. He said God's going back for the other half of you. And he talks about, he put such a beautiful spin on it. I cried like I never cried in my life when he sat up there and he talked about, he wants the piece of you that's a mess. He's going back for that one. He ain't going back for the cute version that's all put together. He's like, because there's two sides to everybody.
Yeah, but the one that's in trouble is that bad side, because God's will is always going to prevail if we submit to him. That was a good one. You're going to make me go back and listen to that one again.
It was so good. I think I got to save in my phone still. Yeah. It was so good how he broke that. All his messages is good, but how he broke that thing down, I was like...
he's so good in the way he relays the message to break it down on a relatable way where you really get it.
He was the one who made me change my parenting style.
Okay.
He talked about like how he had a speech impediment growing up, and he talked about how his mom was with him. And like had his mom never cultivated him or made him feel important, how his mom used to get down on his level and talk to him, how she was nurturing, how he felt like he could go to her and talk to her about anything. And I remember, I remember there were certain times I was in trouble and I would call you, be like, man, you won't believe what I just did. Not what I just did. You won't believe that I just got caught. Yeah. Because it's like, we going to do it, but it's another thing to do it, and then it's another thing to get caught. And so scared to tell mom. And I want to try to erase that fear from my kids. Yeah. And he really, how he talked about his mom, I was like, I want to be that type of mom.
Yeah. Like we have to get to the point where, and I don't know where I read this, but it said the only thing to fear is fear itself. Because if the worst thing happens, you can't prevent it. So what? So why not move past the fear to deal with what you're dealing with and move past it? Like fear is, that's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. So I'm so grateful to no longer be in that place. And that's important for your kids. Like, don't be afraid to tell me anything. Like, there's nothing that you can tell me that's going to make me not love you. Just like God, you know. Nothing we can do will separate us from that love. And kids need to know that too. We need to know that, you know. Just with each other. Like, there is nothing that you can say or do that's going to change how I feel about you. So that's good. Did you have anything you want to leave our sisters with? I have something that I saw, but did you have anything more that you just want to leave them with or say?
I would just tell them, like, regardless of whether you feel like you need to heal or not, to start somewhere. Yeah. Because I think a lot of times you're like, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm good. No, you're not. Like, there's always something. And the minute I think I've arrived, I'm like, oh, I'm healed now. I'm good. And then God be like, okay, let's pull this Band-Aid off because you've been hard in this one. Yeah. So just starting somewhere.
Yeah, healing it's a lifelong journey. We talk about that all the time. You are never completely healed until you see Jesus and you back in your perfect body. There's more healing to do. Always, sisters. Yes. But I just wanted to leave with something that goes along with what you just said and like starting the healing journey that I read this morning. And it says, awakening is not changing who you are, but discarding who you are not. Because life puts so many things on us that we don't even own. And we think it's us. We think we don't need to heal. We think we're doing fine. We're okay. But we're really just hiding behind that mask that we always talk about and not really understanding who we are. So that healing journey and beginning that, it means that you have to discard those things that don't really belong to you. All the things that society placed on you, your family placed on you, the world placed on you, and coming to a point of beginning to heal. So that was good. That was good, sis. I feel like our sisters will now have a better understanding of you and your gift because we talked a little bit about it, and it was kind of like, y'all, just to give you some insight in the beginning, it's like, oh no, we can't talk about that. We can't talk about that because a lot of people don't really understand. It's like a cringe moment kind of. But last week when we were talking and you were talking to me, I felt, okay, now is the time to talk about it because we're not hiding anything. God wants to use everything. And don't get me wrong, there's some things we can't go into depth about because we still have to protect our families, our loved ones, and so forth. But everything that he can use to help somebody else on their healing journey, or get somebody to answer that call, it was important to start there. So I'm glad we did. So thank you, sis.
Thank you.
So I guess we should end with our question.
Yes.
And that is,
what does sisterhood mean to you?
To me, just in us talking about, my first question to you was about your spiritual gifts. So in thinking about that, sisterhood to me means a gift. A sisterhood has been the greatest gift that I could ever imagine because me being who I was and not really knowing who I was and embracing who I was, I didn't really fully have that. Like, even though I had friends, because I wasn't able to be my authentic self, I couldn't really feel that love. But now being able to just embrace that love and that gift is a beautiful thing for me. So what about you? What does sisterhood mean to you?
I feel like it means, for me, it's a pull. I'll say it's a pull because you have definitely pulled out some stuff in me over the years and confirmed some stuff that God was doing where otherwise I would have thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
And just watching how he's pulled from both of us in order to confirm him through each other. And I really love that. And that's why I continue to say I know that I know that I know.
Yeah.
Because of that confirmation that he didn't have to give, but he thought necessary and thought enough to enlighten us on. And to show us some of that path of
take the blinders off.
This is part of what I want to do.
Yeah. And I'm just going to share something funny with our sisters because we know to the point, you've heard Tiff say and you've heard me say that God confirms things through the both of us. And there was this one instance that was over a year ago, and I prayed something to God. I was getting ready to do something and I felt like I needed to do it alone. But I didn't want to hurt her feelings in saying I need to do this alone. So I'm like, God, if it's meant for me to do this alone, I need you to tell her I need to do this alone. When I tell y'all my phone rang a half hour later and she said, God said I can't go, I'm like, oh my God. If I dare spend so many.
Yeah, I was mad because I was already like, I need a babysitter. My sister's doing this. I'm going. Yeah. And God was like, you're going to have to sit this one out. And I'm like, fussing at him. What you mean? I got to sit this one. I want to go. He was like, I ain't asked you to go.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for that. The way he shows us things when he don't have to. You said, he owes us nothing but love. But he's really showing us. So like sis said, if you're not already started on your healing journey, start somewhere. That's the most important thing. And before we wrap up, I just want to tell you again that when you watch back, remember to like, subscribe, and share. If you haven't already done so, please join our Facebook group, Let's Talk Sis, where we are uplifting, empowering, growing, and evolving into the best version of ourselves. We will become a community of women that are healing in such a way that it becomes a movement. So that's where we're headed. Yes. And that's it. That's all I got. That's all I got.
And put in that request in order to join. We will get back to you within a day?
Less than a day. I'm on it.
And get you in there so you can share uplifting stories. You can meet our other sisters and just really have a good time. It's healing and laughter in there.
A little bit of both. And thank y'all for putting up with me because I got some seasonal changes going on. And woo, this voice is voicing today. But I'm glad we made it through. Yes. And that's about it. We want everyone to enjoy the rest of your evening. And we will see you soon.
See you.
Bye.